Yeah, let's just jump to these 9K guys. We have Paul Casey at 9,700, Patrick Reed at 9,500, Brant Snedeker at 94, Mark Leishman at 93, Berger 91. I know you and Roger were just getting at me on last week there. And then
when
Steele.
when I went back through the videos, because like if you're if you're listening to this, we're trying to add a little bit to the pod, so doing sort of shorter videos, cutting up the podcast a little bit. When I was re-listening to it and just hearing that, I was cracking up. I got a kick out of that.
It was that and Chappelle.
Yep, Kevin Dave Chappelle.
I mean,
but hey, it happens.
That's what it is.
It's all good. But yeah, so in this sort of 9K range, I mean, if you want to talk elite course history, it's Leishman. Last 5 years ago, he won. And he has a 9th and 11th, a 30th and a 39th finish besides that in the last 5 years. So, I mean, just elite stuff. Steele also, last 4 years, he's been in the top 25. And he's been playing pretty well. I think he was 13th last week. So, I mean, I love Brendan Steele. I'll be betting him this week. I don't know what his odds are right now, but he'll definitely be. I'll definitely have some exposure to him in every way that I degenerately watch PGA stuff. I like Snedeker a little bit too. He's had some good results here, and he played well last week. Berger seems to be, kind of what we talked about last week. He's so up and down. It's kind of hard to trust the guy, but he was 5th here last year. I mean, but this whole range is nice. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, I might just go balanced and really spread my ownership around on these guys, because Casey played great last week. He was runner-up the week before that. I mean, even Reed was 13th last week. Like, this range is they're coming in with good results recently, and they all have pretty good course history. So, I mean, if I had to pick, it's going to be Steele. Like, if I could only play one of these guys, it's Steele by a lot, but he's going to be high owned. So, I mean, Steele is going to be the starting point of all my cash plays.
What about GPPs?
That's what I'm looking at now. I mean,
because the thing is, he is getting talked about a lot, right? So Brandon Steele is definitely getting talked about a lot, and I think Leishman might just be the better play. Although we'll get to someone in the next range of golfers who kind of has the same thing going for him, with great course history and other people throughout the industry talking about him.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in that range.
Mr. Pink Balls himself.
Yeah.
Freaking unbelievable. I hate golf so much.
Oh, man.
It's so tilting.
People hear that sound clip. Just you just
that
saying,
should be the new intro to the show. Mr. Pink Balls. I hate golf. All right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, if I'm talking about cash, it's Steele and Leishman by a lot, like a lot. Mm-hmm. If I'm going GPP and people are going to be scared off of Berger because he missed the cut last week, like, this isn't the same course. This is much, much closer. It's a closer comp to the course that he won on than the course, 2 weeks ago, than the course that he missed the cut on last week. So if I'm going to throw a dart for a GPP and hopefully get a little lower ownership, I'm not going with Patrick Reed again. I can't keep doing it to myself. He played well last week. I don't care. I'm over it. He needs to string a couple of weeks together, because it's just uber tilting to, like, keep rostering that guy and just throw money away. Of course, now that I said that, he's going to win and I'm going to look like a moron. But Yeah, I mean this whole range you can see from the fan share tags. Like this entire range is going to be pretty spread out because they're all being talked about. So maybe that means their ownership doesn't get as high. Like, what do you think about that? Like, is it possible if all these guys are being talked up this much that they're all going to approach like 25%? How could they?
That's definitely a possibility, just because it doesn't seem like the top tier of golfers are being A, talked about as much, and B, just like worth playing.
Right.
Because again, like it just doesn't seem like it's necessary or like crucial or any kind to pay up at the top, especially in cash. GPPs is a different story, but in cash, there's like no need to pay up for McIlroy, Day, or Spieth.
Like,
So yeah,
I'm just looking at it.
there's definitely.
I'm just
Go ahead.
sorry. No, I'm
No,
just saying I'm looking at it right now, and it's like so from Spieth to Bubba, who we're going to talk about in a second. That's a $3,000 salary gap, right? And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 golfers. Only one of them even has single-digit tags right now on Fanshare. So 12 guys have been touted in at least 10 articles or podcasts or whatever. Like, the ownership can't get crazy on these guys. One of them is certainly going to emerge as the most. Like, that seems to happen every week. But it's not like all these guys are going to hit 20%. It's impossible. Like, just because they're all the same price, it's impossible for them all to have 20% ownership. Like, one of these, you're going to get one of these guys at a value, and they're going to help you, win money this week. If I'm going to take a chance, like I said, it's going to be Steele and Leishman in the 9,000 range. And I'm just going to hope that their ownership doesn't get out of hand.
Yeah, I don't see. That's the thing. It's like the two guys that you like the most seem to be getting some of the most sentiment, or like the most talked about on Fanshare, which again, it correlates well to who people are going to end up roster.
Yeah, but I mean, Casey's being talked up quite a bit, and Snedeker's more than Leishman right now, which, I mean, I think Snedeker is, Leishman won this year, obviously, but Snedeker's sort of like more of like, not that he's like a household name, but he's like a brand name. Like, you've heard of that guy. If you're a golf fan, like, a lot about Snedeker. He's been around forever. And I think a casual person would be like, oh yeah, Brand Snedeker. Like, I'll click on him because with this ticket that I won, or this, dollar entry that I'm just throwing in. So I don't know. And what Roger said last week about how he like completely ignores ownership considerations kind of stuck with me too, because that dude like makes a living off of playing this, and I'm counting down my last couple days of school as a middle school English teacher. So like, he's got the EV on me there. So
yeah,
I don't know.
That is a way to go, like, with strategy, but you do have to consider ownership to a point, especially in GPPs, because if you have an all chalk lineup, like, what edge do you have?
But that's the good news, because that as we keep going, I'm going to have the GPP darts for you last week. And I hate patting myself on the back, but you got to give me some love for Xander Schauffele last week.
Yeah,
Come on.
How?
Come on.
First of all, how did you even know who Xander Schauffele was?
Oh, my heart, Evan. My heart. Come on.
I know. That was a dumb question, but like, he's one of those random guys, though.
I know, but like I said, it was all about the long par 5 scoring, and he came through. He played well, man. I mean, that dude, for nobody really knowing him, he really came up big. And the wild thing is nobody's talking about him this week, which we'll get to in a second too. But whatever. We've spent way too much time on the 9K range, but I'm
The
just
thing is,
saying,
though, we did, like, we have, but this 9K range is a big part of how one should probably construct their lineup this week.
yeah.
At least
And I
what I believe.
yeah, I totally agree. But I think that the sort of, I'm trying to think of the best way to say it. Like, if you know that if you're gonna win a tournament, a GPP, there's probably you're gonna have to roster a guy that has like relatively high ownership. At least one of your six guys is gonna have pretty high ownership. So
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
if the guy that you roster in this range is that guy, then you just differentiate as we keep going down, sort of deal. You know what I mean? Like, I think to
yeah.
fade this 9K range because they're being talked to, not that you're saying, I'm not saying like this to you, I'm just saying in general,
Mhm.
like, to fade this range because they're being talked up a lot would definitely be a mistake. Like, if you're just saying, oh, I'm not going to play them because they're going to have higher ownership, they're good plays in that range, and it's going to lose you money if you just ignore like Steele, Leishman, Casey, and Snedeker. If you're just like, nah, I'm not going to roster those guys, like, that's probably a bad move.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'll agree with that. So yeah, I think we've discussed these 9K golfers.